Hi, good morning, everybody. Happy spring. If you can't tell by my voice, I'm a little under the weather today, and so we're going to keep today's live stream a little bit short. But I'm so glad you're here. It's going to be a beautiful day outside. I'm going to try to get outside and enjoy it and really, get my vitamin D going, get my immune system boosted, get my feet on the ground and earthed and grounded again, and I'm looking forward to that. However, today's topic is based on some people that I've worked with recently. More in my life have come women who are on the opposite side of narcissistic relationships. Let's say they were married to them and now they're divorced and they've got kids, or it was a relationship and they were able to stand up and draw the line and hey, Dina, and really get them out of their lives. So I've had more and more women in my life who have pushed through the trauma in order to get rid of the narcissist. But now they end up kind of at loose ends. Hey, Phyllis, they set those boundaries, they punched their way through, they got rid of them, they got divorced. Hey, Kellyanne, they did what they needed to do. Hey, Jamie. But on the opposite side, now they're sort of left a wreck. Now I'm experienced with this because as a kid I went through a lot of emotional and a lot of different types of abuse. Hey, Chanel. And when you finally get strong enough to change the situation, or the situation naturally changes, you're kind of left at loose ends. And one of the things that needs to happen is you need to work through the emotions that you're still harboring. Hey, Ariana. Because in a lot of narcissistic relationships, the person who's being victimized has all of these emotions, all of this anger and frustration and fear and aggravation and anxiety and PTSD and all these things going on. And they're forced to push it down because it's not safe in order to express it. It's not safe to rage back at a narcissist because they've got no limits. They'll run you off the road. They'll take everything that you've got. When you've got toxic people who are in your life, it's not safe to feel the things that you're feeling. And if you happen to have children, you have to learn how to manage and regulate that too. So once you've gotten a narcissist out of your life, you're kind of left a damaged, sort of broken sort of a person, who just used all of their energy to get rid of the person that was killing them. So one of the backlashes of that is a lot of resentment. Yeah, I am a little clogged, Chanel. I caught a little cold, and so I'm being kind to myself. I rescheduled everybody today, but I wanted to do my live stream. So one of the things that happens is people end up with a large amount of resentment, a large amount of emotion, which hijacks them. You'll see a billboard, you'll watch a commercial, someone will say the wrong thing, you'll meet somebody new, and that resentment will be triggered. All of that suppressed energy and suppressed emotion that, was your coping skill for getting through the trauma that you were in, getting through the difficult situation, it's now coming up because now it's safe to be expressed. The problem is we start expressing it in ways that really aren't beneficial. We express it to our kids or to our pets or to our family members, the people who didn't do these things to us. Or we express it to our friends or people on the street corner because we get triggered by things, because we've got all of this suppressed emotion that we kept under control. People don't realize that the emotions that we have aren't just something that comes and goes. Emotions have a very physical aspect to them. They're chemicals, they're nervous system signals, they're electrical signals that are going through your body. And what happens when we suppress an emotion is all of this stuff usually gets stored somewhere. It gets stored in our shoulders or our neck or our head or our liver or our kidneys or our stomach or our knees, or our hips. It gets stored somewhere. And this resentment and this anger, which, we don't want to take out on the people around us, if we keep suppressing, is going to make us sick. As I went through that, everybody's been through the Mercury retrograde the last few weeks, and narcissism was at its peak. And things like that, they wear you down. And so it's important when you start noticing you get sick, like I am today, that you take those steps, because that's part of your healing process. But what are the options you have to really clear the resentment that is probably controlling some areas of your life? Here's a couple things. One is something that's an intense healing, let's say weekend or week, something like Landmark Forum. They've got landmarks all throughout the world, and they're weekend intensives where you are encouraged, and it's structured for you to really tap into those emotions and start to release them, whether you do it through breath work or, beating something with a pillow or, some sort of big emotional thing. They've got Landmark Forum. They've got Constellation Workshop, where you work through the feelings and emotions that way. That's definitely one way. I'm not a big fan of intensives, and this is why. Because I'm a very sensitive person. And if I go to a weekend intensive, it's very possible that I'll end up flooded by emotion. I'll end up overwhelmed and flooded, and it creates what's called a healing crisis. A healing crisis is when you open the door to all of those emotions, and they flood your system with chemicals, and you're not quite ready for that yet. So, but some people, that's exactly what they love. I could never quite understand why people wanted to have all that trauma all at once in one big weekend or one big day. That just wasn't my gig. I'm too sensitive for that. And so I wasn't into that. But for some people, it's a powerful breakthrough, especially if you're really strong. If you've been in a relationship for decades and you've pushed through and powered through, and you need something that really breaks through that shell. Something like Landmark Forum or another healing intensive is pretty good. It can break through and not overwhelm you. On the other hand, I went into a career that allows us to do healing on a slower pace. It takes a little bit longer, but for me, it's much more organic and natural. It's where you're allowed to take the experiences that naturally come up, and as they come up one at a time, you process through them. Hey, Corazon. You process through the emotion. You give yourself the space to release it. Maybe you take up a kickboxing class or MMA or a regular boxing class or something to help you move that emotion out in a healthy way. I like to do body work. I like to do breath work. Those things to me they're slower, but they're more organic, and they're less overwhelming, and they're less likely to hijack you and then put you on your butt for weeks at a time. So you get to kind of judge and discern what works best for you. But in order to get through the resentment, you actually have to let yourself feel and be okay with whatever you're feeling. Because when you're relaxed, it means that finally you can detox it out of your body. So maybe you do it with a ritual you do every day. Maybe you do it by working with someone, me or a psychologist or a coach, somebody who's specialized in this. Or maybe you go to an intensive and power through that way. Or maybe you do a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything tends to be best. A little bit of a weekend here, your regular habits and routines there. They all synergize and sort of work together. Then you're not overwhelmed by one or the other. One of our problems is we look for something that'll magically resolve stuff. And even though we may go to a weekend intensive that magically pushes through and lets us release all sorts of emotions, or rebirthing, or something like fire walking, or something emotional and powerful like that, even though we may do that, it will only clear some of the emotion. What works best is when you're consistently clearing the things that show up. And whether you do energy work, whether you do emotional work, whether you do role playing, find the thing that works best for you, or do a wide variety of things. I like a wide variety of things myself, because then I'm not dependent upon one or the other. A little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit over there. It means that I end up stronger in the long run, because I'm not waiting for these big dramatic moments to, break free of my, burdens and chains. Instead, it's a consistent process of personal growth and moving forward and changing how we think and how we feel. It's regular. It's a part of your life. So if you want to get past the resentment, you really can. It's possible. You don't have to think you're going to be stuck with this for forever. But the way to do it is to start doing things that allow you to feel safe and feel whatever you're feeling. I do it in my practice with body work and energy work. I help create a safe space for people to say or feel or think whatever they need to. Hey, Victoria. And then a safe space to tap into those emotions and release them, either through crying or frustration or talking about it, whatever works best for them. You know, we create the safe space, because when you do that, then your nervous system stays relaxed and you're finally able to flush out all of those built up chemicals, which is what resentment is. It's irritation from your own body, you know, being irritated by the emotions that are stored there, by the constant triggers, by the foods you're eating, by your body mechanics, all of those things coming together, okay? So if you're on the other side, if you found the strength, hey Maggie, if you found the strength to break through and get rid of a narcissist, congratulations. But now's when the work really starts. The work where you start getting to know who you are and what you need and releasing all of those feelings and all of those resentments that have been building up for decades now, probably since when you were a kid, and maybe even passed down family member to family member. Until now, it's hit you, and you're the one who needs to deal with it, okay? So, couple options if you need to get rid of the resentment. Do a weekend intensive. Do coaching for, let's say, 3 months or 12 months so that it's at a different pace, or see a psychologist for that, and or start putting practices into place that let you feel and connect with and release whatever emotions that you've stored up, okay? And when you do this, make sure you do lots of great self-care. You do lots of lemon water and cucumber water and vitamin D and getting outside and walking. Be real compassionate during your healing process. And trust me, you're not going to be like this for forever. When you actually do this work, hey, Kelly, you get to the other side of it. You work through it and your life gets better, because you become more balanced, you become more regulated, you have healthier habits in place, you have better relationships in place, you communicate better, better skills, all of those things happen, okay? So now's the time, don't wait. Find one thing that'll help you move through it, okay? So here's your homework assignment for today. I want you to do one thing that makes you feel grounded. You know, when you have that resentment or that trigger or that emotion, you know, don't necessarily punch your way out. Instead, find that other tool. Go outside with your feet on the ground. Grab your crystal. Grab your essential oils. Do what you need to do and start letting yourself release this resentment. Because if you keep trying to ignore it or say, hey, Susan, not say, hey, Susan, but hey, Susan, if you keep ignoring it and pushing it down and pushing through, it's going to get worse. It's going to turn into headaches and stomach problems and neck problems and physical issues, which will be even harder to overcome, okay? So if you're having emotional triggers by things, that means you need to take time and do a lot of clearing. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm going to be quiet with myself. And if you feel stuck, private message me, contact me. We'll see if we can point you in the right direction. I do 3-month coaching programs. I have the live streams. I've got, you know, all the wonderful things that I've done on YouTube and you know, in meditations. Thanks, Dina. Dina hopes I feel better. Oh, I absolutely will. That's why I'm taking the day today, in order to feel better. Okay? So one thing that helps get you grounded, and if you feel stuck, let me know. We'll point you in the right direction, because you do not have to stay this way for the rest of your life. Absolutely, positively. There is change and growth and wonderfulness on the other side. And the faster you work through this, the faster your life is going to look awesome. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Talk to you later. Bye.